We're going to talk about how we're going to add text now. I'm going to make a new layer, and over on the side here, I'll click on my text layer. Once you click on any of the sidebar, you'll notice at the top changes. I want to double click, change my font to a black font. I can go up to the top here and pick one of my fonts. And right now it's 72 points. I can type something in. And then if I just click, I can start typing. Obviously this is too large. I can highlight it and make it smaller. It's also vector, so if you really wanted to, you could just manually scale it, but because this is a yearbook and we want to have consistency, we should determine the font size. This is not the font that I want to use. I can go back to my text tool. I can even bring up my character box and I can scroll down and find one that I'd like to use. And I can just highlight over top of it. And there's my header font. What I want to do now is create subheader font. I'm just going to make another text area. And I'll highlight it. You can bring up your character box from the side here or the little A if you have it. Otherwise, you could hit window character and your little A box would come up. And I'm just going to hit 30. Maybe you're going to play with it italicized for your titles. This would be something that will be determined by the class. I'm going to make another layer. You're going to use a shape box as a filler for images. If you wanted to have your group image here, you would have a shape box for your image. And then if you wanted to have a little image of, let's say, someone with a quote, you might have another little box. You may need to move that box up so you have space for a quote for them. At some points, you'll have to zoom in. Creating a text box here, so I know that I'm limiting my space. All I do is click and drag, and I can create a text box. I want to make sure that I'm going to use a good size font, so 9 point is decent for a small quote. And if you can't see the second line of font that you wrote, you may have to drag it down, and you'll notice that there's too much space. Right now, the reason why there's a massive amount of space between, if I open up my character box, it is set to have each line 72 points apart. I can select it to auto, and it'll come up like that. I'm going to take off the italic because it's a little hard to read at this size. And there I have my little quote. I can use the move tool and move it up if I like. And the next thing I want to do is put a large text box here. And the first one I'll put is a description box. So what I'm going to do now is type in lorem ipsum. It is a standard dummy text for graphic design. Here's a generator if you want to have certain paragraphs. You can pick 5 paragraphs. I really only need 1 paragraph. And here it is. So I'll copy and paste this. And the size for this, I'll use a 10 point. And I'm going to change it to Helvetica. And I'll left justify it. I'll create another text box. So this would be the description of the club. And the next text box will have all the students' names. And again, I'll just paste in the lorem ipsum text. If you'd like to have these at different sizes, feel free to do that. This is your template that you're working with. And I can just close this down. A good thing to get in habit of is making sure that your alignments are proper. I'm going to zoom in to my page here. And I want to make sure that the Animation Club, the 2 lorem ipsum body texts are in proper alignment. Making sure that you are on the Move tool, you can click and Control click, Command click the different layers so that they're all selected. And then what you'll do is you'll go up to the top, and these are the different ways that you can arrange it. If I click on this one right here, it'll say align left edges. So that way I know that they are all aligned. Some people really like working with guides, and you can set up guides and move things over and they should snap to the guides, but this is an easy way to make sure that everything is aligned properly. I really love organizing my layers. What I'm going to do is create a group, and I'll call this the top group. I'm going to move everything that I just made into this top group. I can even minimize it. You can multiple select all your layers and then just drag it in, but I'm just gonna drag these in individually. I'll leave the background out here. If I turn off the eye, everything is there. So I actually want to remove the club's page title. Kind of drag it out of my box. And if I turn off my eye, there's my Animation Club. Having it selected, I can move it around. I can move it up. I can also duplicate it. Right click and duplicate group. And now I can call this one bottom group. And all I have to do is hold Shift, drag it down, and it will align it properly. And if you want to move both of them down, you can select them both and move them down. If you want to add a line here, you can use your square rectangle tool up at the top, and you can just create a line just to define the space between the two. Now, depending what the theme is, you may add some different things to the background. You may add some characters. You may add some images.